Good morning and welcome to the new edition, the Saturday special. During my work travels, I have seen that there's one country where the streets are absolutely spotless. Not a litter, not a scrap of paper, not a candy cover, not a lost ticket, not a cigarette butt. You might be thinking it is Singapore. No, it's Japan. Japanese culture is noticeable on its streets, which are spotlessly clean. And you see all around, you don't see rubbish bins on the Japanese streets. Amazing, isn't it? And this absence of the rubbish bins on the streets does astonish many tourists. Many people ask, why? How do the people dispose of their trash? What do the visitors do? There's of course a reason for this absence of the dustbins and the rubbish bins. Japanese saw rapid industrialization in the post-war periods, and the waste was becoming a problem. Typically, it was running over the landfill. It was not like Canada, which has a lot of landfill places and yet ships its garbage to Michigan. So in 90s, the Japanese government woke up to this issue, targeted this problem, introduced very strict recycling laws and clamping down what could go into the landfill. These waste management laws way back in 90s are a landmark in the history of environmental and pollution control. And as a result thereof, because of the wide awareness of the Japanese people, it has become a Japan's culture now, no littering. And you would see the people take their rubbish home with them rather than dispose of where it is. Another thing you will notice, the Japanese, unlike Americans and Canadians, don't walk and eat. The country has something of a love affair with the vending machines. And when you're walking down, you see mind-boggling variety of the food that is offered on the streets. It's very popular. But what happens is most people will stand still, eat food where they bought it. They will not keep on walking and then search for a place where to throw the garbage. And near each vending machine there is a rubbish bin. But more often than not, you hand over the packaging back to the seller. What is a green dot movement in Germany is applicable in Japan, and it was applicable much before even the green dot movement came into being. And at homes, my God, the dustbins are aplenty. While you don't see any dustbin, any rubbish bin on the streets, in the homes you have them a lot. Japan is the only country in the world which recycles 77% of its plastic. Waste Management Institute has said, the plastic waste management, that it is double the level of England, Britain, and above 20% that of USA. So the culture has permeated from Tokyo to even the villages. There's a very small town, Kamikatsu, and it has embraced recycling that it has become a minor tourist attraction. The total population is 1,700 and it is zero waste town. So what's the result? Careful recycling means this town is saving 80% of its non-organic waste from landfill while separating the rubbish people separate in 40 different categories. Not like 3 categories which we have here in Canada: organics, recyclables, and garbage. No, there are 40 different categories, so each is recycled according to its chemical status and its possible use. So naturally no litter, but 77% utilization of its waste. Now if Japan can do it, why can't the people the world over? When we buy a candy bar, we own the wrapper. And what do? We either throw in the dustbin or carry it. And at the most, if we do it, we throw in the garbage, forgetting that this can be recycled. You see, what happens is recycling is a process which essentially empowers the buyer, the consumer. And traditionally recyclable materials are glass, paper, rigid plastic, metals. But even the plastics, soft plastic, can be used again and again. And if you can recycle it, then you offset the demand for the virgin material, thereby mining less, thereby producing less those products which can be recycled. The cycle would continue, but only the resources would last much longer. Now, human-generated waste stream combines 2 factors. One is its reuse, and second is the evolution of diversity and volume of that. Every reuse of recycled material results in ultimate reduction of the waste. And the global community faces a mounting challenge of developing viable recycling and waste solutions at an economical rate, at a comparable rate. I fail to understand why we need to reinvent the wheel. Japanese have done a great job in identifying 40 categories, which practically cover all categories. The same thing can be brought in here or anywhere in the world. And it's not difficult, but then what is required is inculcation of the culture. Now, electronics waste is currently the most quantity-wise and quality-wise solid waste system, and it increases 2 to 3 times more than the other waste systems. And in US alone, 7.6 billion tons of solid waste is produced every year. Now imagine 7.6 billion tons. And that is 300,000% of the total municipal waste generated by USA. Now, as we enter the 4th industrial revolution, the ecological implications of prioritizing the waste are extremely important. Let's not talk of the high science. That's not material. What is material is economics. It's economics which determines recyclability. A material is recycled only if one can make money by collecting, sorting, and recycling it. So, the health cost and the environmental costs which are associated are not included in these equations. And as a matter of fact, they should be. In reality, the cost of not recycling are always also excluded from the value equation, and that must not happen. Because those costs, though hidden, are important aspect. Now, what Germany did was excellent, followed Japan, of course, the Green Dot movement, which I referred to earlier. Here is the responsibility of the seller. You go to the shop, buy a tube of the toothpaste, and give the container back to him, the used container. That's his responsibility. And whether he has a tie-up with the original manufacturer or he has a tie-up somewhere else with any other recycler, that is important. So what you need is education. Sometimes we think that education is very expensive. Educating people about the recycling, the process and everything. But have you tried how expensive ignorance is? It adds to the hidden cost apart from the real cost. And today there are technologies available which can recycle everything. Cigarette butts, pens, water filters, used toothbrushes, toothbrush tubes, packaging waste, industrial adhesive containers, and even dirty diapers. As a matter of fact, I'll talk to you one day how even the dirty sludge can be used to generate electricity. So true motivation and true innovation is finding reasons for brands and manufacturers to pay for recycling. If I manufacture toothpaste, it should be my responsibility to take back that tube, that used tube, and recycle it. Whether for my own purpose or for some other purpose, that's immaterial. But what we ordinarily say, the user should be responsible. No, the producer should be responsible. And once you make the producer responsible for recycling, 50% of the battle that you are fighting is won. So we have got, because then he'll ensure that all his products and all the packaging is recyclable. And that is what is required. Most of the packaging we don't need. That is absolutely redundant. The top purchases driver for a range of consumer goods is willingness to pay for sustainable goods and services. So sponsoring a recycling program by the corporates is another way we can bring it in, but we don't do that. There is a municipalities which are engaged in education program. Why should it not be the corporate bigwigs who should be held financially accountable and responsible? Can you believe that in the last decade, recycling rates have stagnated vis-a-vis the production of the waste produced globally? And while many countries in the developing world work without a formal recycling system, even countries like USA recycle only 34% of their trash. Now compare 80% by Japan to 34% by USA. And same is true of Canada. Canada recycles hardly 28%. That's a wastage of the natural resources, and that cannot be permitted. The consumer buying power with the correct social and political commitment can drive demand for comprehensive recycling schemes and solutions at multiple levels. The level of the user, the level of the retailer, the level of the wholesaler, and the level of the producer, manufacturer. If the recycling is done at all the levels, you can easily attain 80-85% of the recycling goal, and that's not difficult. And the balance can go to landfill, of course. That much 15%. If you reduce by 85%, rest is only 15%, and that it can be used as refills. The world's waste problem mandates and requires that everyone in the consumption cycle acts together. Otherwise, there is no hope of redemption. So if you want to be redeemed, psychologically, economically, environmentally, then there's a need to have a comprehensive action at all levels. And Japan, the land of the rising sun, is once again an example to be followed, where the streets are spotless and the air is cleanest. Wish we could do that. Thank you.